Hi, I'm Cryo, and this is part 2 of To Be a Person to Have a Name. I'd recommend checking the first part of this fic, as nothing will make sense otherwise. So the check out the fic on AO3. It's by kirabasai, and it's one of my favorites. Now, on to the story. About 40 minutes into her abrupt introduction to Bowser Kart, during which Lilia did not go easy on her at all and gave her a thorough thrashing, Yumiko hears a very faint knocking over the sound of the intense heavy rock. If Yumiko hears it, she knows for a fact Lilia does as well, but he simply waves it off with a mischievous grin, deigning to check the foils in her hair. It's while Lilia is doing this that the door opens and in enters the silver-haired student Sebek called Silver. Father, Sebek was wondering if the student cuts himself off, blinking down at Yumiko. The pile of juice boxes, the Temdo console, and Lilia all on the carpet. Yumiko blinks back at him. Did he just call Lilia father? Silver, don't you know it is rude to enter a room without knocking? Lilia chides before turning back to Yumiko. I think about 10 minutes more before we remove these, he tells her. I did knock. You just didn't answer. Silver deadpans. Lilia-senpai, who's this? Lilia dramatically gasps, covering his mouth with a hand. Goodness, did you? I'm sorry, my hearing must not be what it once was, he apologizes. Yumiko suspects he's hiding a grin behind that hand, and has to stifle a giggle of her own. And as for who this is Yukun, a first year. Isn't he cute? Silver blinks down at Yumiko, who still has foils in her hair. Yumiko blinks up at him, wondering if his name really is Silver. He looks at Lilia, his facial expression one she can't recognize. Oh, of course, Yukun. This is Silver Argentum. He's a second year. I'm quite sure you recognize him. Lilia says, doing a dramatic flourish. Yumiko blinks at the surname. Silver Argentum, she repeats, narrowing her eyes in thought. Isn't Argentum just an ancient word for silver somewhere? The reason why silver on the chemical periodic table, not to be confused with the alchemical periodic table, is abbreviated as Ag. Are you fucking with me? She asks after a few moments, looking between Silver and Lilia. Lilia immediately cracks up. Silver sighs. Ah, that joke never gets old. The most humans your age don't pick up on it that fast. Lilia snickers, calming down after a minute. Silver grumbles something under his breath, and Lilia floats upward to pat his head consolingly. I told you, I read a lot. Yumiko shrugs. Nice to meet you, though, Silver-senpai. She tacks on, deciding on Silver, since that's the name she's heard 3 times thus far. My bad if I'm keeping Lilia-senpai from something. Silver opens his mouth to respond, but Lilia waves him off. It is not an issue. You were going to ask if I was planning on supervising you in Sebek's evening training, no? Yumiko tilts her head at hearing the word training, wondering what kind. Silver nods in agreement. Yes, we were planning on having dinner soon, and then have a session shortly after. I wasn't aware you had a guest, though, Silver confirms, looking back at Yumiko. Lilia giggles. Yes, Yukun over here brought cookies for me, and I have been assisting him in an endeavor to dye his hair, Lilia explains. I do suppose it has been some time since we started, he adds, looking at the time on his phone. It's true. Between setting up, applying, processing, washing, brushing, and now doing it all a second time, some hours have passed. We won't have time for the color, Yumiko realizes, surprised to feel a bit disappointed at the fact. I suppose you will just have to come by tomorrow, Lilia exclaims. Though perhaps you might like to stay for dinner tonight at the very least. I could whip something up, he muses, giving her a considering look. Yumiko perks up at the invitation to come again tomorrow. There are no classes tomorrow, after all. The offer for dinner, however. She remembers that almost the entire dorm left earlier today when you mentioned possibly making lunch. She does not want to witness whatever is capable of driving out an entire dorm. At least, not right now. Tomorrow's fine, Yumiko grins at Lilia. If it's approaching dinner time, though, Grim is probably waiting for me. Silver, who is mouthing no at her from behind Lilia, immediately relaxes. Maybe I can stay longer tomorrow, though. Stick Grim on somebody for the time I'm gone, she muses, watching as Silver blinks at her with an indecipherable expression. Part of her wonders if Lilia will cook tomorrow, or Silver will do anything possible to keep Lilia out of the kitchen. Oh, wonderful! Lilia claps, grinning at Yumiko. It is about time to wash out the bleach, so we can do that, gather your stuff, and send you on your way. Ah, Silver, you can head back down. I will join you soon enough, Lilia says, literally pushing him out the door. Which is impressive, considering the top of his head barely passes Silver's shoulder. The moment the door shuts behind Silver, Lilia spins back around, beckoning Yumiko to stand up. The Fae ushers her in the bathroom once more, returning to their little sink setup. Just like before, he removes the foil and washes the bleach out. He hums the same song from before. I like that Briar Valley song you've been humming, Yumiko comments, squeezing her eyes shut as the Fae uses a rush of wind magic once more to dry her hair. It is a nice song, is it not? He responds, eyeing the shirt Yumiko is still wearing. You can change in here. Simply wearing your blazer over that will get excess bleach on it, which we don't want. Oh, Yumiko blinks. Does he know, or does he think something else? I appreciate that, she says, as Lilia returns with her clothes. He pats her head as he hands them over and closes the bathroom door behind him. It only takes a couple minutes to swap out the pink tee for her uniform shirt and blazer, though she does give up on the tie, letting it hang around her neck untied. She exits the bathroom with the shirt in one hand, using the other to finger comb her hair. Where do I put the shirt? Yumiko asks Lilia, who promptly plucks it out of her hand. She notices the pile of juice boxes is gone and the Nintendo Switch is back by the desk. I'm so used to Nintendo. Ugh. You can leave it here overnight, he answers, folding it up and placing it on the shelf. Allow me to brush your hair while you pack up your stuff, he says, sitting back down at their previous spot on the carpet and grabbing her discarded hairbrush. Yumiko blinks, wondering if the Fae just enjoys brushing hair, before nodding. She settles down in front of him. What time should I come by tomorrow? Yumiko questions as she finishes packing her messenger bag some amount of minutes later. The only missing item being the hairbrush in Lilia's hand. What time did you come over today? Come at that same time tomorrow, he hums in response. We do not need to do a third round of bleach tomorrow, so we can go straight to the color. Your hair is a bit brassy, but that should not be an issue with the colors you picked, he commentates, handing her the hairbrush after a few moments. She puts it away. It looks fine though, right? Yumiko questions, turning to face Lilia as she puts the brush in her bag, and finally closing it shut. Lilia shows her a picture on his phone in lieu of a response. It's the back of her head. Huh. She blinks. Seeing myself blonde, even partially, is kind of weird. You will get used to it, Lilia snickers, pocketing the device. Too lazy to do the tie, he comments, leading Yumiko to the door. The tips of her ears burn with embarrassment as he opens the door. I actually don't really know how to properly tie it, she reluctantly admits with a wince. Lilia pauses on the threshold of the door, humming in consideration. Lilia-senpai? Lilia turns to face Yumiko, and with a flick of his pen, her tie does itself, to her amazement. Your precision with magic is really good, Lilia-senpai, she compliments with a grin. He slips his pen back into place. I can show you how to properly do your tie at a later time, he tells her, going back to walking. Yumiko blinks in befuddlement, having to rush a bit to catch up with him. Really, Lilia-senpai? She questions, somewhat confused. She can understand his willingness to dye her hair, because she brought him cookies, and it's something he seems to enjoy. But what does he get out of teaching her how to tie a tie? Of course, Lilia chuckles, patting the top of her head once more as they walk. Why do you keep patting my head? Yumiko asks, curious. Who knows? Lilia exclaims, patting the top of her head again as He avoids the question. Come now, I shall accompany you to the mirror gate. When Yumiko arrives at Diasomnia the next morning, there is a bit more activity. She passes some students as she walks to the front doors, who give her slightly strange looks. Is it because she's a human, a non-mage, or somebody not part of the dorm? She can never tell with such little information, her only interactions with Diasomnia thus far being limited to Lilia, Sebek, and Silver, and Sinataro. Speaking of Lilia, boo! A voice whispers from behind her. Despite half expecting the potential fright from last time, she still slightly jumps. Regardless, Yumiko turns to face Lilia with a giddy face. Lilia-senpai, you scared me again, Yumiko greets. Lilia chuckles as he floats to the ground, walking next to her. Ah, but not so much as last time, no? You were a bit on guard, he comments. It is good to be on guard. You noticed? Questions Yumiko, blinking in surprise as they enter Diasomnia's lounge. I notice a lot of things, Lilia answers, which for him is essentially the same as a non-answer. There are some students scattered around the lounge, none she recognizes, and Lilia passes through without a glance to them. Your dorm uniform is way cooler than theirs, Yumiko not so secretly confides in him as they exit the lounge. They just lack a sense of fun, Lilia says with a grin. Besides, I'm the only one who can pull this ensemble off. I don't know. Ziegfeld-san might be able to, Yumiko replies without thinking. She blinks as she processes what she just said. She never makes jokes. Not like that. Yumiko turns her head to Lilia, who is also blinking at her. A moment goes by, both of them picturing Sebek Ziegfeld in Lilia's dorm uniform. Lilia breaks first. He snickers, and Yumiko in turn giggles. Soon, they're both laughing in an empty Diasomnia corridor, the sound echoing down the hallway. Yumiko idly thinks she hasn't laughed like that in a long time. Ah, what a wondrous mind, Lilia compliments as they both wind down, patting her on the head like he did so many times yesterday. Perhaps we should see about orchestrating such an event. But first, your hair. I still haven't decided between the purple and blue, Yumiko sheepishly admits once they've sat down on the back carpet in Lilia's room once more. The two respective jars of hair dye sitting between them, Lilia humps, picking up one of the jars. Well, you do not need to throw out the excess when you're done, as you would with bleach. For these, you can just put the lid back on and store it someplace, and you can use the rest later, Lilia remarks. So we could do both. Wait, really? Yumiko blinks. Huh. How would we even handle that, though? I don't know, Lilia cheerfully replies. I have never done 2 colors at once before. Yumiko suddenly gets the feeling that trying out 2 colors at once right now is not the greatest idea. I mean, I'm all for experimenting, but only after I've looked into a topic enough, she says, carefully shooting the idea down. A thought suddenly occurs to her. What if we flipped a coin? Oh, that is a fun idea, Lilia exclaims, standing up to dig through one of his chests. Those are just knickknacks, right? Here we go. This one is a bit on the older side, but it still works, Lilia says, placing a coin on the ground between them. It looks... Lilia-senpai, Yumiko starts, picking up the coin and scrutinizing it. Is this real gold? It weighs nothing like metal, and I don't recognize the imagery at all. Lilia laughs, plucking it out of her hands. Who knows, he says, grinning. Anyway, this side is heads and the other side is tails. Got it? Got it. Yumiko nods, looking at what Lilia identified as heads. A tree? Phoenix? How about heads be purple and tails blue? She suggests after a moment, giving up on identifying whatever the imagery on the head side is. Lilia flips the coin upwards where it stays rotating in the air than Yumiko thought possible. Is it due to its material? Its weight? Density? the force Lilia put into it. But just as quickly she started to wonder these thoughts, the coin falls back down, landing on the carpet. It does not look like whatever heads was. Blue it is, Lilia declares, setting the purple aside. The shirt you used before is on the shelf. Yes, there you go. That one. You can change in the bathroom like before. As Yumiko closes the bathroom door behind her, she can't help but think about how different hanging out with Lilia Van Rouge is compared to anybody else. Ace and Deuce are her friends, so hanging out with them feels familiar. Cater, Trey, and Riddle are friendly with her, so she's friendly back. Jack is someone she's starting to become friends with following the spell draft tournament. At least she thinks so. He's let her join in on his morning runs. Having a running companion now is nice. Ruggy is someone she understands, simply by the fact that they both came from nothing, although the difference in what their nothing is quite large. Growing up in poverty, having no memories or possessions or identity. Regardless, she understands him. Leona is quite grumpy, but she's managed to annoy him into playing chess with her a couple of times. She hasn't won a single match yet, but he also hasn't run her off, so she counts that as a win. Grim is Grim. He's her companion. She watches his back, tries to keep him from getting in trouble, and Grim watches hers. In a way, they're a bit codependent, though she honestly isn't sure where to start with describing the intricacies of their relationship. And then there's Lilia. Despite this only being the 4th time they've hung out together, not including Leona's overblot, Yumiko is comfortable with him in a way she isn't with anybody else. Her mind is never dulled with being unoccupied, and he doesn't seem at a loss when it comes to her questions or talking about what she's read. She could say he encourages it even. And being around the Fae has encouraged her to step out of her comfort zone. Never before would she have considered dyeing her hair or looking up swords. It's strange how being around him excites her just as easily as an interesting topic, but that excitement not be the same. When Yumiko exits the bathroom, now wearing the pink tee stained with bleach from the previous day, Lilia is waiting for her on the carpet. He has the same supplies as yesterday: tinfoil, emergency scissors, and juice boxes. Though, taking a closer look, the only 2 flavors are tomato and grape. She supposes tomato juice must be the Fae's favorite, as he beckons her over. Is this going to be any different from the bleach? Yumiko asks, handing him her hairbrush at his request. He starts to gently brush her hair. Generally, you only do the 1 application and then you're fine, though you do need to wash your hair with cold water so the color lasts longer, Lily explains. Also, when we re-dye or bleach your hair again, down the line, you'll have to start with a test strip to make sure the chemicals don't react badly to each other. Something in Yumiko warms at hearing Lilia say, "we," and she has to fight a smile from forming on her face. It's not that big of a deal. "Can I ask you something?" she asks after a brief moment of silence, a thought having been nagging at her yesterday. "Oh? What could you be curious about now?" he hums. "Why did Silver Senpai call you father yesterday when he entered your room at first? Before he knew I was there. I mean, I know Fae lifespan and maturity is far different from humans and depends on the Fae subspecies, but, never mind. It's none of my business anyway," Yumiko mutters, abandoning the train of thought. Lilia pauses in brushing her hair for a brief moment, but continues. "Ah, you caught that, did you? I suppose if you are truly curious, you could ask Silver," he responds nonchalantly, which keeps up with Lilia's trend of answering some questions vaguely. He also changes the topic in the next moment as he hands back her hairbrush, which Yumiko is grateful for. "The previous day, you said that you always keep a few books from the library with you. Would I be wrong to assume you paid the library a visit earlier today?" "Oh!" Yumiko exclaims, opening her messenger bag. "I did, yeah. I actually have 4 books this time around because I didn't get to finish one before Ace and Deuce decided to rescue me from the library's clutches. Grim was annoyed at them, actually. He had a good napping spot. Ah, yes. A good spot to nap is integral to any mage's development, Lilia bemusedly says, right as Yumiko hears the pop of the dye jar opening. He's starting the application then. Okay, so I had, what? How does one pronounce this? Oneiromancy? How does one pronounce it? Okay, Google. Love Google, especially with pronunciation. Oneiromancy, the significance of dreams, the usage of runes in ancient rituals, swordsmanship in modern times, and technology in Briar Valley. Yumiko lists after a moment, organizing them on the carpet in front of her. Oh, you finished all of yesterday's books already? Lily asks. She blinks in confusion. Of course I did. Anyone could have read those in the time I had, she answers. Lilia hums for a few moments, giving no reply. What was the book you didn't finish in the library? He finally decides on saying, abandoning the time-related line of questioning. Ah, that's this one. The usage of runes in ancient rituals. Yumiko explains, pulling the book into her lap. That is quite a big leap from ruins and ley lines, he comments. He isn't wrong. Frankly, Yumiko would probably be concerned if anyone else at the college was looking into stuff like this. But I had a hunch about something, Yumiko admits after a moment, absent-mindedly tracing her lower scars through her shirt. They start in her stomach area and creep upwards towards the middle of her chest. I was a bit surprised to find the book, though. Night Raven College is many centuries, perhaps even thousands of years old, and its library has grown with age. What is accepted as being morally right has changed, yes, but keeping track of the content, of which is likely to be thousands of books, is too big a hassle that nobody wants to deal with, Lilia exclaims. And the books themselves are a piece of history, Yumiko clarifies, catching on to what he left unsaid. Clever child, he praises, confirming her question. Were I not in the middle of dyeing your hair, I would give you another head pat, Lilia tacks on, letting out a little snicker. Seriously, what's with him and head pats? Oh, speaking of giving things, she says, flapping open to the back of the book in her lap. I didn't have enough time to get some more cookies out of tray, but I did find this perfectly shaped, unbroken red leaf on the ground this morning. She carefully lifts the book out from where she had it pressed between the book pages, having wanted to preserve it. She lifts it above her head, high enough for Lilia to see. Oh, what a lovely shade of red. I had not realized the leaves were starting to turn. Though I suppose Halloween is soon, Lilia agrees. Yumiko was not sure she'd call 3 weeks soon. I shall find a safe place for it here once I finish applying the dye. Halloween, Yumiko mutters, thoughts wandering. I don't know what I did for Halloween before, she realizes. Well, the holiday is a bit different everywhere, though I suppose the costumes and trick-or-treating are consistent. What's Halloween at NRC like? Yumiko finds herself asking before her thoughts catch up. Well, not as spooky as it would be in Briar Valley. Essentially, all 7 dorms set up a Halloween exhibit and stamp booth in varying locations. The campus is open to the public for the entire Halloween week, and guests need to collect 7 stamps in order to get a prize. On the final day, Halloween, there is a parade and a big feast for students and guests. Lilia explains. Yumiko is now somewhat curious about Briar Valley's Halloween practices. Oh, so the guests are the trick-or-treaters? Yes, all 7 dorms have a different theme as well. I decided on Diasomnia's theme for the past 2 years, but this year I have set the task to Malleus. Lilia continues. Malleus as in Malleus Draconia? Yumiko is pretty sure that's Diasomnia's dorm leader from what others have said. Now that she thinks about it, the history book also said he was Briar Valley's crown prince. How old is he to be in a history book? What? Okay, sorry. That's interesting, the fact Lilia can tell this guy what to do. She can revisit that later, though. Halloween is more interesting at the moment. Huh, sounds fun. Too bad Ramshackle can't do anything, Yumiko muses. Grim is probably going to throw a fit or something when he realizes. Lilia hums noncommittedly. If you'd like, I can show you my costumes from my previous 2 Halloweens, Lilia says. I still have the pictures on my phone, after all. Yumiko quite likes that idea, to her surprise. Of course! What were Diasomnia's themes for them? You shall have to guess. And also wait for me to finish applying the dye. Lilia cheerily hums. You're such a tease, Lilia-senpai, Yumiko grouses. Lilia chuckles. Do not act like you aren't one as well. I noticed how you messed with poor Silver yesterday. Lilia snickers. When you said you could stay for dinner today instead of yesterday. Why, I have never seen the boy go from relief to shock so fast. To be honest, it was more morbid curiosity of how bad one man's cooking has to be to drive away so many people and cause such a reaction. And if he would try and prevent you from cooking today, Yumiko admits. Why, how blunt! Lilia laughs. As a treat, I shall tell you a tidbit of information. I'm listening, she says, immediately perking up. Lilia chuckles. Sometimes, Lilia starts, when people do not want somebody to do something so bad, they will do it instead, so that somebody cannot do it. Yumiko lets the information soak in. And then... Lilia-senpai, Yumiko addresses, voice earnest. If Lilia were facing the girl, he would see the stars in her eyes. You are a genius. Lilia cackles. Okay. I'm going to put a stop to that for now. I know it's not as long as it was last time, but my voice was practically dead after last time, so I'm going to do it short. I'm doing a shorter video. Please let me know in the comments what you think I could do better. Right now, I don't have any equipment or anything, so this is the best quality of audio you're gonna get. But if anyone has any tips on on what I can do better, please let me know. Have a great day.